Dear friends, Innovation and Incubation Center for Entrepreneurship, also called as ICE, is a DSD-supported technology business incubator at IISER Bhopal to promote and encourage entrepreneurial ecosystem. IICE-IISER Bhopal organizes several events such as conferences, workshops, competitions, and seminars to inculcate innovative entrepreneurship among the students, faculty members, researchers, and prospective entrepreneurs in the region. Today, we have a keynote talk by Dr. Anand Anadkumar, founder and CEO of Bugworks Research. And the title of his talk is A Scientist Entrepreneur: How to Create Successful Business in Life Sciences. Today's talk has been organized as the opening ceremony cum orientation of CurveBall 2020, an annual entrepreneurial competition of IISER Bhopal. CurveBall competition is organized every year as a part of annual Science Fest of IISER Bhopal with the collaborative efforts of Innovation Club at ICE and a Science Council, Team Singularity. We received proactive response from the student community, and the winners of these entrepreneurial competitions are selected as student pre-startups at ICE. Till date, there are 11 pre-startup teams which have been selected as student pre-startup at ICE, as well as they have won the cash prizes in this competition. Every year, we start this competition with a popular talk, and today it's a great honor and privilege to have Dr. Anand Anadkumar with us as a keynote speaker. We are going to inaugurate and open the CurveBall 2020 with his popular talk. Dr. Anand is one of the India's finest bio-entrepreneur and the inspiration for science entrepreneurs in the country. And we believe that his talk and experience sharing today will really encourage our student community, and it will positively influence the student participation in CurveBall 2020. So before we start the session, let me brief you the schedule of this event. We will start the session with formal introduction of our today's guest, followed by a keynote talk. Then we have a dedicated time for question and answer session. And after that, we will share the link for participation of CurveBall 2020 and will formally announce the competition open for registration and participation. So I would also request the Zoom participants to please keep your mic off during the session. And without any further ado, let me invite Dr. Amjad Hussain, CEO and coordinator of ICE, to formally welcome and introduce our today's guest. Over to you, sir.
Can you hear me? Okay, so it's really an honor and privilege having Dr. Anand Anadkumar as a distinguished and keynote speaker at IISER Bhopal today during the opening ceremony of CurveBall, which is an entrepreneurial competition. Dr. Anand is a serial entrepreneur, and he has started not one, two, or three, but multiple companies in life sciences, biotech, and other technology space, and in India as well as in United States. As you know, Anand is a co-founder and CEO of Bugworks Research, which is one of the leading startup. I won't even call it a startup. It has already progressed to the next stage. An Indo-US company that addresses a very, very exciting but very unmet need, the problem of antimicrobial resistance by untreatable bacterial superbugs, which are implicated in hospital, community, and also leads to bioterrorism situations. The company is designing next generation antibiotics that can tackle a broad spectrum of superbugs and will potentially enter clinical trials in a couple of months' time, very likely maybe by end of this year. And I'm sure it must be very, very exciting for Anand and his team. And those who don't know the real value of drug or vaccine or product which require a human trial, it sort of, start increasing in value as soon as the molecule enters to clinical trial. So it's really exciting. More recently, the company has also forayed into design of broad spectrum antivirals as well. Anand himself and his startup Bugworks has won many national and international innovation awards. Let me name a few of those, including Best Biotech Startups in India 2015, Economic Times Top Innovator Award 2017, first company from Asia to win the coveted CARB grant, CB Insights Top 36 companies in the world to watch out in 2019, which is amazing. Not only that, but Bugworks has been prominently featured on leading global platforms, including the G20 Health Group, BBC, Telegraph, Bloomberg News, Nikkei, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, Economic Times, The Economist, and the Forbes. But let me also tell you that Bugworks is not the only company Anand has started. He is also a co-founder of iShield Technology, which has been in news very recently for this tech fabric technology, which is a substrate also that is capable of killing a broad spectrum broad spectrum bacteria as well as viruses, and has been recently found very useful in preparation and designing of antiviral mask, which got launched in India, as Anand told me recently. Anand is also a co-founder of BioMoneta, a device, a play to reduce chances of infection spread, which recently raised seed rounds of an undisclosed amount. His other companies also raised so far more than $42 million of funding, including 9 million in Series A to Bugworks and 33 million to his another startup, which is Cellworks, where I also worked briefly with Anand. Anand was also a previous co-founder at Cellworks, and prior to launching himself in biotech, he was into semiconductor industry, worked in Silicon Valley for a while, also in the companies like Spin Circuit Technology and Magma Design in leadership positions. In India, he's also affiliated with many key industry organizations, including as a member of Executive Committee of Indian Biotech Association, member of India Advisory Board of GRDP, board members of AMR Industry Alliance, member of AMR Working Group Bio USA, and advisor to the CCAMP, which is one of the leading incubator in biosciences in Bangalore. Anand is also a co-founder of EVA and Impress, and I remember 2015 or 16 when I had a conversation with Anand from Boston, the unique entrepreneurship residence program, which was very, very new to India at that point of time. And Anand is an electronic engineer. He received his BTech in electronics and communication from India, followed by a PhD in University of Washington, DC, and also like MS and PhD, both degree programs from United States. Anand is also a philanthropist and also a founding trustee of Child, an NGO in India that take care of young children orphaned by HIV and AIDS. He's also a co-founder of Humanist India, a foundation that supports cancer treatment, very active in network in Bangalore, and I'm sure he will be also remembered very well 10 years from now as a visionary in biotech space who will change the way people see biotech revolution in India. So without further delay, I would like to welcome Anand Anadkumar for the keynote talk. Welcome, Anand. Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you so very much, Sandeep and Dr. Amjad, for this brilliant opportunity. My advanced wishes to everyone for CurveBall 2020. And I'm so excited to meeting everybody, although it's online. I was just telling Dr. Amjad before this program that I have an exciting presentation put together for you all that allow me to walk through it. It will be a rapid-paced presentation that gives you an idea of what's going on in the industry, a snapshot of the industry, opportunities for you when you get out for entrepreneurship, and then I will be happy to take some questions. So I am going to share my screen, if I may, please. Looks okay? That's great, fantastic. And you guys can hear me clearly, I hope? Perfect, excellent. All right. Once again, thank you. I mean, that the backgrounder was very, very humbling to me, more than anything else. So much to be done for this country and for the world. And youth, you guys are what is going to make India happen as we move forward. So my title is actually, I changed the title on Dr. Amjad. I said it's a meeting with students and faculty of IISER Bhopal. So I want to think of us that we are in the same campus and having this chat. I promise to visit you guys once COVID allows me to take a flight over. So the overall flow for the presentation is I would like to give a snapshot of the Indian biotech ecosystem. What is the opportunity landscape today? I also want to talk about grants, which are very important for you youngsters. Smart funding, which is through grants. And then I'd like to talk about my company, Bugworks. I wanted to talk a lot more about Cellworks and a few other companies, but we simply don't have the time. And then I want to give a 5-minute pitch, which is a short tutorial for entrepreneurs of the learnings I've had on how best to pitch your idea as you go to investors. This material is not my original material, the 5-minute pitch. It has been taken from the net and other people I've worked with. May I please request everyone to go on mute if you don't mind. Thank you so much. And then Q&A. Okay, so what is going on in the Indian bioeconomy and the startup landscape, right? By the way, whether you are studying chemistry or biology or biochemistry or microbiology or molecular biology or any other techniques, all of this comes under the bioeconomy. So let's not put any silos, because in today, the bioeconomy, it coalesces engineering, sciences, mathematics, clinical sciences, etc. together. So there is no need to silo it. So if you look at the country, 3,325 startups. Roughly, I don't know why this red line is showing up here, but my apologies, I have no idea. There are about 2,000 biopharmaceutical companies that are into biomedical devices and diagnostics. Agriculture is about 300, and then bioindustrial, bio-IT, bio-research. Fabulous opportunities for people who are coming out. This all happened in the last 5 to 7 years. Major support from the government of India through Department of Biotechnology primarily, and some support from Department of Science and Technology. Boys and girls, when you come out, there is an ecosystem ready, right? I look at IISER, right? It's such an honor for me to be presenting to IISER, one of the greatest institutions in our country. And then now there's a focus on incubation and entrepreneurship. Fabulous. 5 years, 6 years ago, I don't think this would have happened. So the ecosystem is fabulous. So many startup companies. So I hope many of you, when you graduate, will do startups that will be transformational. And as they say, become a job creator, not just seeker. Of the 3,000 entrepreneurs in the bioeconomy, I am so proud that 1/3 are women. And the day we have more women entrepreneurs in this space, I would consider that a major success. Because any of the startups I've worked with the female lead CXOs, I see the passion, I see the compassion, and I see the commitment. So it'll be fabulous. Next time I present to you all, I hope there'll be more red color images in here. Wonderful to see that. And it's fascinating that in 2018, we were $50 billion. This is the Indian bioeconomy. And when most of you graduate, we should be touching around 70, 75 billion. Of course, these numbers have to be reset because of COVID-19. But yet it shows you that there is a great opportunity moving on. Sorry, just a question for you, Amjad or Sandeep. Are you seeing blue color and red color on the screen?
Yes. Yeah.
Sir, you can exit presentation mode and then restart it, I guess. That should help.
Just 1 second. Let me do a refresh. Sorry, guys. There's no refresh here. Okay. My apologies. I have no clue what's going on. Okay. COVID-19 has brought the world to its knees. We all know it, and we're now going to spend time talking about the grim statistics. Unfortunately, as a country that spends so little on healthcare, we haven't seen the worst in India. The numbers are going to rise. The good news is the virus is becoming less virulent, and we have more tools to deal with it, right? Steroid treatment, remdesivir, heparin, good antibiotics, etc. So we know how to deal with the monster. There are better tools in there. I have no clue why there is the lines are coming in here. I'm really, really very sorry. What could I do? Should I unshare and share back? Sorry, guys. Just give me a second.
Sir, otherwise try closing your presentation without saving it and opening it again.
I see. See, I learned a lot from you. 1 second. Sorry, everyone. My apologies. I'll stay on as, it seems to be okay now. I'm going to come back. Better?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. But for you out there, a huge problem means huge opportunity. So don't let anybody tell you that when you're going to graduate, you're coming into a COVID world. You're coming into a world of opportunities where talented young women and young men like you, who are coming through great institutions of repute in our country, like IISER, can look at this as an opportunity and not as a problem. We, as a community, have an opportunity to innovate and give back to society, to be part of the healing process. You know, none of your previous generations had the opportunity that you have when you come out. So I think it's phenomenal. So if you look at the Indian biotech industry, we are not just sitting back. We're actually doing a lot of work in COVID-19, from developing vaccines to antiviral drugs to new range of PPEs, which are personal protection equipment, COVID-19 test kits, telehealth, telemedicine, and contact tracing using tech-enabled platforms. There's a lot going on in India, right? And it's just fantastic to be part of that ecosystem. And if I go around the country today and look at what is happening, there is this call for be vocal for local. And we see lots of new technologies coming out of India. It's incredible the amount of innovation that has come out of our country. Necessity is the mother of invention. In the last 6 months, post-COVID, incredible. We didn't have the type of ventilator support or PPEs or diagnostic kits, etc. Suddenly we came of age. We still have a long way to go in the healthcare ecosystem, but suddenly we have at least moved from kindergarten to middle school or high school level in terms of healthcare ecosystem maturity. And that has happened because of this vocal for local. We realized we had to be self-reliant. You are the generation that's going to come out and solve many big problems because everyone has their own problems. Most countries have become inward looking, and we have to use innovation to solve big problems of food security, of environment, of education, and healthcare. So for many of you students who are looking to start your own companies, grants are very, very important. And I find when I talk to students, most students don't even know that our country and the world at large offer a lot of grants, right? So I just did a small listing, and I'm going to make this presentation available to use Dr. Sandeep and Dr. Amjad, just so that you can share it with those who are interested. There are a whole bunch of grants that are available for people doing the type of work that you're doing. Some are known to you, some are not, right? And then when I look at global funding opportunities that have opened up for us, it's in this particular antimicrobial resistance area that I work in. These are the some of the global opportunities. The point is, you need to be nimble, you need to be aggressive, network to understand these global funding opportunities. Because on an average, for a life sciences company in India, somewhere around 30 to 50% of the money you need to run your life sciences is going to come out of grants. It's a big chunk because we don't have enough people who fund startup companies in the life sciences in India. So it's a big dependency on grants. I'm going to take two companies that I work very closely, one in which I'm a founder, co-founder, Biomonitor, one I advise, called Module Innovations out of Pune, who have used grants brilliantly. So let's look at a case study, right? This is Biomonitor. Grants make companies happen, Biomonitor, right? They started the company in 2014, and then I just put a picture here of what we have, where we are today, till we hit our pre-series A investment. Look at the grants, DBT BIRAC. Then we got a prototype, some little bit of angel money, DBT BIRAC SIBRI, little angel money, showed device safety, DBT BIRAC SIBRI. Early clinical field trial, we got the Series A investment. So the grants allow us to go through this entire valley when we are doing proof of concept until you come to Series A. No investor worth his or her salt wants to invest in our companies until there is some proof of concept, some early market traction, etc. So you have to get by through very little money of your own, friends and family, as well as grants. So I just put this picture here to show that you can very carefully thread through your trajectory by bringing in grants. Module Innovations doing some outstanding work in the diagnostics area out of Pune. Again, they started in 2012, and look at the grants. Big DST, IIGP, longitudinal price, SIBRI, grand challenges. Incredible, incredible. And I put this in here to motivate you guys that even though funding is difficult in the early stages, there are enough grants. And if you, by working through the type of center that you're sitting in today and we are chatting in the IISER ecosystem, connect aggressively and you may find that there are more grants than you consider. And a good company is one that has at least 50% of its money based out of grants. Most of the companies I've been involved with, at least 50% of our money is coming from grants. Take advantage of it. Of course, the money is not NIH, but it's okay. It allows us to get through that early valley of death. There are many valleys of death as we go through companies. The early valley of death is concept to getting a real investor, Series A. That first valley of death grants are phenomenal. I'd like to talk to you all about Bugworks. Just quickly, Dr. Sandeep, is the audio fine? Can you guys hear me fine?
Yes, sir. The audio is
excellent. Fabulous. I'd like to talk to you about the Bugworks story. I'm extremely honored to be part of a phenomenal company. I contribute very little to Bugworks because I have some phenomenal scientists, and all credit to whatever we have done goes to my fellow scientists. We are not yet a success story. We are an exciting company. We are not yet a success story. We are entering clinical trials. But the day we can save that first patient in a phase 2 trial, a pneumonia patient who would have died if he or she didn't have our drug, or pneumonia, hard to treat hospital-acquired infection that is resistant to all antibiotics out there. That's the day I'll open the champagne bottle and consider it to be a success. So we're getting there. I hope we'll get there in about a year's time. But this is a very, very important work that we are hoping to do. All of us now know what superbugs can do. When I used to talk about Bugworks before COVID, it was always like, yeah, whatever, infection is so low in interest. Today, I don't need to talk about how bad bugs can be. They pushed us back by a generation or worse. Untreatable microorganisms are superbugs. Right now, you have a pandemic that's going on with a virus. We are focused on pandemics that happen all the time with bacteria. Most of the infections that kill people day-to-day life in hospitals and community are bacterial infections. Pandemic is this astounding, extraordinary tsunami that has taken over us. But bacteria is always there. It's a silent tsunami. So people are using that to create bioterrorism. And this is a big, big issue. And one of the 3 biggest threats to humanity, ladies and gentlemen, is antimicrobial resistance. Right? Now we can add virus also to it. So you need antibacterials and antivirals to keep the world pandemic prepared. And we aspire from India to be one of the companies that can make the world pandemic prepared. I think it's a tall ask, but you know, as Dr. Abdul Kalam said, aim for the stars. We may at least hit the rooftop. You know, aim for the stars. It's amazing. And he personally inspired me when I met him many years ago. Superbugs is a huge problem. I do not need to belabor. I'm so sorry, my thing is getting stuck here. Yeah, it's impacting everything. Almost 1 million people die per year. Can you imagine there's COVID going on? It's a massive tsunami. But even when COVID was not happening, just from bacterial infections, 1 million people, 1 million is 10 lakh, die per year. Out of which roughly 30% is from our own country. 3 lakh people in India die of unsolvable hospital-acquired infections. Out of the 3 lakh, almost 100,000 are children and babies who die of neonatal sepsis. We did Bugworks to save those lives. Because the big pharmaceutical companies don't care about this space because there's not enough money to be made compared to cancer and diabetes and metabolic syndrome and all these other areas. We can't wait for the West to come and solve our problems. So that's the resolve that we said, we are going to become self-reliant. If this is such an unsolvable problem, both scientifically and economically, let's take a crack. Let's do something that's earth-shattering. And that's what we're aspiring to do. It's so beautiful. 1928, most of you may have heard the name Alexander Fleming. He won the Nobel Prize for antibiotics. In 1928, this great scientist in London had gone off. He left his lab and went for a vacation. And he came back, there was fungus growing on the plate, right? Fungus. And this was a plate that he didn't clean up. It was a bacteria plate and he just left it and went off and fungus was growing. Only in the area around the fungus, there was no growth. All this was bacterial growth. But the area around the fungus, there's no growth. Serendipity and a brilliant mind. He realized that this organism, this penicillium that came from the fungi, was killing the bacteria around it. Everything has changed. The single most important discovery in the field of science, ladies and gentlemen, is antibiotics. Until the 1930s and 1940s, average life expectancy was in the 20s. We were dying when we were 28 and 30 by small bug bites or prick of a pill somewhere because we didn't have antibiotics. We didn't have surgery. The entire edifice of modern medicine was created by this man, right, in antibiotics. And amazing, amazing invention. We are deeply thankful to Alexander Fleming. But Fleming, when he got his Nobel Prize, in the Nobel Peace Prize, he said, guys, I'm worried. Because every time you introduce an antibiotic, there's going to be resistance. Bacteria are going to pick up resistance. And how right he was. Today, all drugs, most drugs we have lost, particularly in countries like India where there is an abuse of antibiotics. I beg all of you audience, never take an antibiotic without a doctor's prescription. If you're given a prescription, take the antibiotic for the full 5 or 6 days that the doctor asks you to. And if family members are popping in antibiotics, please stop them, dissuade, discourage them from doing it. Every time someone takes an antibiotic needlessly in our country, you're promoting drug use. The dream team of Bugworks, we're about 25 people. I'm very blessed to have a fantastic team, most of whom came from AstraZeneca Bangalore, who closed their offices in 2013 before we started Bugworks. It's a fantastic multidisciplinary team. And the mantra behind what we're trying to do is Indian innovation should be second to none. You know, it has to be affordable. But just being affordable and cheap innovation, nobody cares. It needs to be the best in the world in what you do. And it needs to be affordable. And it needs to be contextual. And you want to try to crack a global issue that seems insolvable for others. And you need to think global, act global. All of you who are going to come out to do companies, don't try to just think that I'm going to solve a problem for Bhopal alone. It's not bad. But if you're thinking big at some point in time, think global, act global. Today, those ecosystems allow us to work with partners all over the world. And the way we got formed is Cellworks, the company where I met Dr. Amjad, in which one is as a co-founder, did a project with AstraZeneca that is funded by Wellcome Trust in TB. When we finished that project, AstraZeneca closed its site and Cellworks allowed me to spin out Bugworks. The first funding came from DBT BIRAC, but what changed everything for us is CarbeX, which is the United States government funding, substantial funding. And we are very humbled to accept that we are the first and only Asian company to date to be funded by the US government. So about 50% of our company's funding comes from CarbeX, which is a combination of the United States government, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, government, West German government, UK government, and Wellcome Trust. I'm just going to show a very good slide here that says we started in 2014 and look, we went through many changes. The reason why I'm putting this is as a young company, somebody inside the company needs to look at your science dispassionately. That means if you make a mistake or if science doesn't pan out, you should have the gumption to close a program and adapt, because the only thing constant, it's a thing, not a thing, my apologies, the only thing constant in life is change. So there's a lot of adaptability that's required. And don't get too married out, which is my science is the best in the world, right? It needs to solve a problem. So you can see that we went through many problems to come out of it. And it's never going to be an easy ride. And I don't think it's going to be a smooth ride for us even moving forward. But you have to be adaptable. You have to fail fast and fail cheap. If there's a problem happening, it's better to bail and fail early than to spend more money and move towards the market, because the cost of failure goes up exponentially. Cost of failure goes up exponentially as you move towards the market. It really takes the whole globe to build a world-class solution. Would you believe it? Little Bugworks sitting out of C-Camp, we are 25 people, but we probably work with 25 partners all over the world. So the day we started Bugworks, we had a white chart that said, we want to know the best labs in the world that do antimicrobial work in India and abroad. And we want to be connected with those labs. Only do your own innovative intellectual property IP work inside your company. and then use a global set of partners, the best in the business, to create the best science. The fact that we work with so many partners means there is less chance for me to create bias with my own data, because my data is not coming from within my labs, it's coming from all over the world. So it's great because they will call a spade, and the ability to have data issues is much less. And it's fantastic that we're able to work. Hopefully, this will become 2 slides. And as Dr. Amjad so kindly introduced Bugworks, we are very humbled that we had an opportunity to win a number of grants and be showcased. The point of putting this is not to speak about Bugworks, but to let everyone who's thinking to be an entrepreneur, let's not think small, right? Let's think big. Let's have the best advisory board. Let's work with the best partners all over the globe. Let's have these platforms talking about us, because as important as your science is the network. Who's talking about your company is as important as the very science that forms the basis of your company. And many times we forget it. We think that my science is so good, when I go out, people are waiting to buy my science. No, people are looking for solutions that are affordable, that are world-class, that have the best partnerships all over the world, right? Your science is just a piece of that solution. Just to let you know that we are very fortunate that we went in and looked at the World Health Organization, all the bad bugs in the world, broad spectrum antibiotic. When I say in the world, that are known to us, that cause hospital infections, Bugworks is able to handle it. And we are also working on bioterrorism with the US government. If everything goes well, we enter clinical trials in Australia early next year, 4 months to 5 months to do phase 1 trials, which is safety. If the safety proves to be good, we hope to do phase 2 trials starting in India and the US sometime mid of next year. And we took one of the worst bugs that came to us, which is resistant to this drug, ciprofloxacin, meropenem, and cefepime. And you can look at, with our drug, there is no growth. This is a plate that shows actual growth of the bacteria, and we cleaned it. And we have hundreds and hundreds of examples of superbugs that we're able to clean like this. So we're very excited by what we're doing. Novel antibiotic out of India for the world, but it's still not a success until that phase 1 trial is successfully on safety. And then hopefully we'll be able to make a difference. And if we can do something to save those 1 million deaths per year, if we can do something to save those 100,000 babies who die of neonatal sepsis, that would be a success that we hope we can carry for generations forward. Cellworks, I only have 2 slides. Just let you know, it's a fabulous company that we put together in 2008. And I'm going to make it very, very simple. We use mathematical modeling, and now we use artificial intelligence and machine learning in actually modeling the cancer, okay? And then we're able to take patient biopsy information and change the map and create personalized map per cancer patient. So we have a personalized disease model, all mathematical simulation orientated. And then we can simulate drugs and come out and say, for this patient that has triple negative cancer with this type of genetic background, this is the right drug to use. Fascinating combination of bringing mathematics, electrical engineering, biochemistry, oncology, oncobiology together. And Dr. Amjad, although he was there for a very short while, was a very key contributor to the company. So Cellworks is how I moved from engineering into biology. And again here, if you look at Cellworks, you can see the DNA, the pattern is the same. You have to work with the best institutions in the world, the best hospitals, in this case, the oncology hospitals, because it's not enough that we say that we are doing good work. The best peers in the world need to say that we're doing well. And that's why I put this slide. Okay, now I'm moving to my 5-minute pitch, right? And then I just have a few more slides after that. I find when, and I got Dr. Amjad's permission to say, let me do a 5-minute thing on this, because I find that most of the science-oriented presentations that come to me, I'm fortunate enough to sit as a mentor on DBT, on CCAMP, on Anna University Incubator as well. I find that those are too verbose, it's too complex. And 99% of the people you're presenting your idea to will not even understand what to do. So you need to simplify and bring it down to least common denominator, to basic principles. So what I'm going to share with you is going to sound very simple, but that's what it is. Less is more. Keep it very simple. In 5 minutes, if you're not able to impress someone about your idea, it's a waste of time. Once they like it and then they want more information from you, you share information. So titles, I'm going to make this available to ICE in IISER, right? Introduction of yourself and a company, what your company does. Simple, as simple as that. I see title slides with big scientific diagrams, is that nothing. This is the thing, MSc student, Dana, PhD student, company. What does your company do? My company solves agro problem, or my company is a devices problem that solves cardiology problem. Whatever it is, simple words. So on the slide, you have your logo, product image, a tagline. Problem statement. What real world problem are you solving? Today morning, I sat in a 45-minute presentation. Okay, outstanding group in Chennai. Man, at the end of 45 minutes, I just couldn't even understand. Now, wait a minute. What problem are they trying to solve? So cut to the chase. What problem am I solving? Right? On the slide, simple words, images, graph. Don't think simple means dumb. People love simple. And if they like to know more, let them get in depth. Solution. What am I doing? What is my solution to this problem? On the slide, image of my product or image of my service, CRISPR based or RT-PCR based Traction. Who can potentially be my early customers? Don't wait for the investor to tell you, oh, have you thought about who's going to buy your stuff? Say that I'm already thinking that services companies or startups like Bugworks can be my early customers. You're starting to think about it. How do I get? Maybe you even have one early customer if you have a services. How do I get to them? So the investor is saying that this guy is at least thinking about how to get to customers. What would they be willing to pay? $5,000, $1,000, $10. What is this customer willing to pay? Because when you think through this, you've taken out the angst of that moment when you're interacting with that VC, right? So on the slide, a simple graph of some acquisitions that have happened in the space. What kind of historical growth has happened? If you have it. If you don't, that's okay. VCs love it when someone says, I don't have the answer to this. I need some more time to know exactly where the market is going. That's okay. The opportunity. What is the industry focus? What is the total market that I'm going after? Potential, growth potential. If you don't have this information, that's okay. You can say, I've estimated it. This is the approximation. What is the addressable market? Total market means to say the total market for diagnostics for thyroid care is this much. I am only addressing 1/10 of that. So they know you're a focused guy. You're not chuma saying that, oh, the whole market is the entire thyroid testing market. That's not yours. Total market is different than addressable market. Very key. Simple, but very key. So on the slide, again, simple graphs, pie charts. I just love it. Investors just love it. They know that you mean business. You're not trying to hide behind verbose, dense material. Competitive edge. What is your secret sauce? I put together this team and we figured out a new method of, viral kill. We figured out a new method of doing a particular device that's a digital X-ray that's going to allow remote X-rays to happen in this new world where there's telehealth happening. This is my secret sauce. On the slide, key differentiating components. Then comes the team. What does your winning team look like? Don't forget that your team cannot just be a bunch of scientists. It needs to have a combination of people who are appreciating science, finance, market, ability to present and network. I always say somebody in your team has to be a dreamer. And the dreamer can dream without upper bound, lower bound. One person is an executor who says, nah, I'm only going to make sure that what we say, we are going to do. And one is a networker. Never downplay the importance to have somebody in the team who's networking, who's making sure your company, your idea, as I said, people are talking about, they're blogging it, they're writing it. It's not BS, right? Having marketing and science are two sides of the same coin, so it's not BS. And your CEO is not a chief executive officer. What does an executive mean? It means nothing. Most of our startups fail. 90% of startups in life sciences and deep sciences will fail. So what does this title mean? It means nothing. but you're an ecosystem officer. You're going to plug in your company into a local ecosystem, into a national ecosystem, into a global ecosystem. That's the role of the CEO. On the slide, simple profiles, one line each on your key team members. When you start thinking about teams like this, they know you're thinking about orthogonal skill sets coming together. And it's just not, I have 4 PhDs. 4 PhDs are good, but you also need some folks who are going to be doing these other things. Funding. How much money have I raised so far? How much am I talking to you for? And please avoid valuation initially. In sciences, it's very hard to put valuation. There is no magic number for valuation. You talk to people from the finance industries, they may talk to you about discounted cash flow or risk-adjusted net present value. Total hogwash in life sciences, particularly early stage, when you have 5 years, 7 years to go, you have no idea whether your science is going to work. You have no idea whether the market is going to materialize. What is valuation? So please realize the biggest takeaway is you have to be ready to give up a lot of your company to the investor. Because if you want a good investor, don't be too harsh about valuation. And there is a concept of desperometer. If you run out of money, and you're getting desperate, 100% of the company sitting with me, 100% of zero is zero. 100% of zero is zero. So the old mentality of I'm a promoter, I need to be majority owner has all gone out the window. By the time you're done with the Series B or Series C funding, be happy if the co-founders have 6 to 7% each of the company. Be happy, because the dilution will be so dramatic in these areas, right? And that's okay. If you create a company of 50 million, 100 million, it's okay to have 5% of it. Think that way, not in percentage. Who are my current investors and advisors? And on the slide, simple numbers. Very important. Why am I raising this money? Just to do more experiments? Nah. Talk about the timing. You know, sir, I'm trying to raise these 4 crores because with this 4 crores and this team and the way the world is today with the pandemic, I can get to this milestone. That's the relevance of the raise. And there's a call to action. With this money raised, this company would have completed these key points of inflection and be ready for next step. Simple statement. I only have 2 more slides, ladies and gentlemen. I want all of you here to know how fortunate you are to be here. A fabulous new world of opportunity awaits you outside. Whether you're biotech, life sciences, informatics, computer science, doesn't matter. We can do work that will have a huge impact, and you can leave your footprints. We can leave our footprints on the sands of time. How wonderful it is, right? How deep and profound that we have the opportunity to leave our footprints in the sands of time and make a difference to the society around us. Our country and this globe needs your skills. You have a responsibility. Your previous generation didn't have to think like you. We were only worried about getting a job to put bread and butter on the table. You have been provided a fantastic platform, and you are going to fabulous institutions like IISER. And when you come out, you have responsibility to the nation and to the world at large. We have come out of our lower middle class insecurities as a country, ladies and gentlemen. To where just survival is gone, it's over. You have a new platform, which 15, 20 years ago, we didn't have it. The next 10 years, we'll have newer platforms that you are not seeing today. So with these improved and embellished platforms, we can't go back to just being happy with survival and having a vocation. As scientists, as people of science, engineering, mathematics, there's so much we can do to help society. Use your time at IISER Bhopal to network. The biggest advantage of studying in IISER is not your professors, that is great, and your education is a network and pick up skills. When you come out, you need to have some skills, whether it is, like I said, whether it's a CRISPR or RT-PCR or programming, some skill base that you bring out with you. Data sciences and computing are oxygen to everything we do, including biotech. I would really hope that all of you familiarize yourself with data analytics, some data statistics, and some basic programming, because that's going to be oxygen. Ladies and gentlemen, intelligence and wealth have new definitions right now. Before, if you could crack IIT, JEE, you are considered intelligent. If you got 200 on 200 in maths, physics, chemistry, you are intelligent. You still are intelligent, but that's only IQ. That's a concept of EQ now, and most employers and VCs are looking for emotional intelligence. How well do I work with the team? How respectful I am of each other. As a man, do I respect a woman? Do I know how to coalesce teams that have orthogonal skill sets? Do I understand social cues? Do I have communication? Can I have evangelical spirits and energies to take this forward? That has nothing to do with whether I scored 100% in mathematics or I cracked the IISER entrance exam. It has to do with the ability to have passion, compassion, and mix and work with teams. I will choose somebody who's a 75% mark holder, who if she is a musician or she's a team sports player, any day over 100% person who's just she or he is full-time to the book. The world, because I can get enough knowledge from the internet. I'm not even a scientist. I just pick up what I need. But the ability to work with teams, the ability to have emotional intelligence has surpassed IQ. And the wealth of giving back, the wealth, when you are my age, in my 50s, how rich you are will be determined by how much you've been able to give back. Scientifically, philanthropically, whatever. Giving back is going to become the definition of wealth in your generation, ladies and gentlemen. And my very last slide. As Mahatma Gandhi said, 7 social sins. And you can read it. And there's one that says science without humanity is a sin. Just doing science for science sake and publication's sake, it's okay. But if there is something that we can do to impact the world around us that we have inhabited, environmentally, food-wise, education-wise, whatever, some way you're making the world around you better, that would be phenomenal. And as the Dalai Lama said, the universe is a single atom, the convergence of science and spirituality, right? So all of us who work in the sciences are spiritual because the science allows us to look inward and gives us satisfaction when we know we can use the science to crack big problems. So science and spirituality are two sides of the same coin. My last slide, I want to thank Dr. Amjad and his entire team for this phenomenal opportunity. I would like everybody to stay safe and healthy. And my parting shot before I take questions is something I wake up to every morning. Life's most persistent and urgent question, as the great civil rights leader Martin Luther King said, what are you doing for others? Thank you very much for your patience. And Dr. Amjad and Dr. Sandeep, I'm sorry if I overran by a few minutes.
No, sir. Dr. Anand, thank you very much for such an insightful and a thought-provoking talk. And I'm sure our viewers would have multiple questions to ask. I'm receiving several questions. Let us start one by one.
Can I have one question before you start, Sandeep?
Sure, sir. Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Anand, for a very, very exciting and power talk, I would say. Truly, truly amazing. And I have a couple of questions, but I'll restrict myself to only 2 as of now. First, how do you see clinical trial scenario is improving in India in last 5 to 6 years? I remember my days in Cellworks in 2016-17 when we were doing some of the trials with University of Florida, Mayo, and Indian scene was not sort of, that much organized in clinical trial, number 1. And number 2,
please keep going. Please keep going.
Yeah. How do you see AMR and other diseases going personalized the way we did in Cellworks model? Can you go AMR for Bugworks, aging for personalized, a lot of other things? You're
phenomenal. You've asked both very good questions. I'm not sure I have great answers to the second one, but I will try. And guys, don't worry about time. I overran. Whatever questions you have, as long as Dr. Sandeep doesn't kick me out, I'm here for you. So don't worry about that because I enjoy most of this interaction. Dr. Amjad asked the most important question that I couldn't touch upon. India is a tough place to do science because our clinical trial environments are still about a generation behind the rest. Having said that, compared to when you were at Cellworks, Dr. Amjad, in the last 5 years, there have been leaps and bounds. See, that's the thing with India, right? Our telecommunications sucked and then we leapfrog, boom, to where now we're talking about 5G and all these great things. Similarly, I see clinical trials and regulation trying to leapfrog. It's not that easy to leapfrog, to where there have been many positive changes. If you have approvals abroad, you can automatically get approvals here. If it's a hard to treat condition like TB or AMR or hard cancer, if you have phase 2 data, they give you access to market while you do a phase 3 post-approval. Lots of positive things are happening. Phase 1 is still a challenge, Dr. Amjad, because India is still very scared of new compound. You know, there are NGOs that put pressure saying that, are you treating our people like guinea pigs? So it's better to go to a country that's very strong for phase 1 and then come back to India for phase 2 and above. Your second question of personal. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most important questions that Dr. Amjad asked is personalization. Cancer is going personalization. A single drug will not fit it for every patient, which is why tools, companies like Cellworks or Mitra Biotech and others are trying to personalize the treatment using mathematical modeling and in vitro. His question was, can the same thing happen for antibiotics and AMR? That's a brilliant question, Dr. Amjad. I don't even know where to begin for an answer. I've written that down as a question. Often say, I'm the first guy to say, I don't know. And I'm sorry, I don't know the answer, but that's very thought-provoking. I will do some research and come back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. First in the line, we have a question from IICE-IISER Bhopal student. And this question is very relevant for the student community. How to manage the time in academia, project, research, and focus effectively on research and a startup? Your suggestion.
Wow. Your question itself has the answer. That emotional intelligence that I spoke about, time management is part of that. Right? The ability to say, nobody is going to come and solve my calendar. There is no 7-slide presentation on YouTube to say how to manage your time, unfortunately. So the ability to say what is important to me. See, listen, we can't do everything for everybody, right? If I want to do my PhD or my postdoc, and I want to do a startup, and I want to do philanthropy, it's very hard. So you have to learn in certain times in life, you do what is important and prioritize at that point in time. I'm 55, right? And I'm starting startups. But at your age in 20s and 30s, I took the standard job route because I came from a generation before you, and then slowly evolved and matured and snaked my way up. So don't be in a hurry to do everything at the same time, because that can lead to disquiet. And so please manage the time, prioritize. If your priority is to publish top 4 papers, complete the PhD, do it. You still have time. There are many, many problems around you that need you. So please prioritize. And don't get overwhelmed by taking on too much. I see too many postdocs trying to do so many different things, and then you end up doing nothing.
Thank you. We have another question. Actually, 2 of our participants asked the same question, and it's about the skill of team building. The question is how to inspire or how to attract the good manpower to work as your team, and especially with the startups who have the funding limitation with the less amount of salary, how to attract good minds to work for you?
Yes, very good question. Again, no easy answers. All of you are asking very tough questions of me. There are no simple, no easy answers. Look, in life sciences, the money is going to be very poor until you at least start getting the first round of funding, and then it becomes decent. Nobody's going to fund you to have big salaries. But initially, you're on a very shoestring budget. You're lucky you may have some fellowship from Wellcome, DBT, what have you. What will drive your team to become successful is the evangelical energy of the co-founder. That says, guys, don't be part of a team if you don't want to commit 3 years of your life, 3 to 4 years of your life. But if you commit 3 to 4 years of your life, you're going to be part of a team that people in India and abroad are going to speak about. No amount of money can get you there. And then we will have funders who are funding us. And I promise you that when we have a Series A funding, as part of a Series A funding, we will negotiate salary packages for us. Investors are fine with that. You know, you can't make $100,000 US, but they're okay with reasonable salaries. It's only the pre-Series A time when you're going through those grants, etc., where there is no easy way out. So you have to have the passion for the 3, 4, 5 years to go hungry. At least be on biscuits and tea. Don't be totally hungry. As Swami Vivekananda said, it's hard to teach Vedanta to a hungry stomach. I know that. It's hard to teach Vedanta, but we have no choice. Most of us went to salary-less when we started companies for the first 2 years, and then slowly came in there. But you need that kind of mad spirit to get going. And if someone can't afford and they need a job and they're doing part-time consulting or part-time services job and working for you, that's also okay. I'm finding companies where co-founders do some small teaching or small assignments on the side just to put, some dal and chawal on the table. So I'm seeing that also happen. We can mix and match such things, but you need that passion to go a little hungry. And no easy answer.
Thank you. Another question, specifically is asked by the student, but it's the faculty, it's important for faculties. Overwhelmed with the publication pressure, with the students associated with you, faculty members tend to share the technology or technology licensing. The faculty members were skeptical about becoming entrepreneur. Your opinion about that? Is it a good idea of technology licensing, or do you have suggestion for them?
Yeah, I'm going to be very honest. The most successful biotech companies in the US, the most, whether it's in virology, oncology, anywhere, have come out of university. Where a university professor does some amazing work, she or he, takes it up to some early proof of concept, target validation, safety, and then they spin out companies. Dr. Sandeep, we don't have that culture yet in India. It's slowly coming, we don't have it. My humble advice is, if a professor does early good research, please find a good group of entrepreneurs, students, who can take your idea forward as a company. Most of the professors I worked with here in Bangalore struggle to straddle two lanes between academic pressure of writing grants, trying to get their tenure, etc., and doing a startup. That's too much of a leap in India. I think that will happen in 10 years. If I was a professor in IISER and I had a good idea and I've done early proof of principle, I would work with your incubation center, come up with a good group of 3-4 people, start the company and become the chief mentor for it. I'll own 5 to 6% equity in the company, or I'll have a royalty model that says that if you guys are successful, you give me 5-6% back through the university technology office. I beg IISER to start spawning off companies like that. Can you imagine? Because you have such smart professors, they have good ideas. Young 3 to 4 people work with that professor, spawn off the company. The professor works as a chief mentor for the company, so she or he can still be at IISER doing what they want. In return, they get royalties. I think that model, the time has come.
I would like to add to the Anand's comment, and we do have a couple of faculty members who are coming up with forming companies, and their ideas are getting evaluated. In fact, Dr. Vishal Rai, who is also among the audience, he was one of the big BIRAC awardee. His company, Biotech, work mostly on protein engineering and something related to ADC as well. If Vishal is here, Vishal, if you like to connect, you're most welcome to join.
Hi, Vishal. How are you?
Is he here?
Hi, yeah.
Hi, Vishal.
I was just unmuting. Hi, good to have you. And well, I'm having my struggles. So the question about the human resource was from me. And what we do is that we develop technologies that allow us to do precise engineering of proteins. And then we are taking it towards a few dimensions, taking care of certain biotech tools where precision was the technological demand, but there were no technologies to address that need. So that's kind of a low-hanging fruit that has started generating some revenue from this last financial year. But therapeutics is the segment where we are going in the long run. And biologics is one part where we are heading. So we are having our own share of a struggle. Being in Bhopal kind of adds a little bit to that because of the cultural differences that you see if you compare it to, let's say, Bangalore or Mumbai or Pune. But I guess we are there. We are slowly moving.
Vishal, I just have some thoughts, right? I mean, there are no easy solutions, and I don't want to sound like I know all the answers. I don't know all the answers, but some ideas. Vishal, what you could do is, if IISER allows you to take a sabbatical, and then you can actually move in and put more time into the company, that's one way of looking at it. Or if there is a bunch of good students who are working with you, you can be a co-founder, but the students can be based out of Bangalore. Think about it, right? In the US, if you are a professor in Arkansas or Missouri doing some good work, you'll have the same issue, right? then what will happen? That professor will get together with a few guys and they will move to Cambridge, Massachusetts, or Bay Area, or San Diego and start the company. So I'm just thinking along those lines because these models have worked in other countries. Same thing in Japan. When I work with a guy who's sitting in some deep part of Japan doing some amazing work, he doesn't go anywhere. The moment he takes up a small incubator in Tokyo or Kyoto, there's a better chance for the company to start getting recognition. So to Dr. Amjad and others, while you're making all these plans, so 3 points, Vishal, Amjad, Sandeep, is allowing professors to out-license their work to a group of people sitting in Bhopal, where the professor becomes a chief mentor or chief consulting scientist. 25 to 30% of the professor's time is allocated by the university to do startups. That's one model. 2, if you think that's not working, and I give a sabbatical of 4 to 5 years so that the professor doesn't feel threatened that, hey, what happens if my startup fails? I can go back to a job. So you could try that model. These are some ideas. 3rd is what I just showed you. If you do a proof of principle and you have a group of 2 to 3 people who can relocate because they're young, they finished their MS or their PhD, you can't because you're a professor and you are in Bhopal, that's okay, man. Just think about it. We don't need to solve it on a Zoom call, but I just want to supplant you with those ideas. Fair?
Thanks. Yeah, thanks a lot. Because in fact, I am thinking along the 3rd line of suggestion. So ITB being my mentor institute since my PhD days. So I have access to the incubation center there. And
awesome.
So I have that in plan. And in the same line, we are having an MOU with a company that does production of antibodies, which is kind of raw material for us. And they are based in Nagpur. So we are thinking of having a small facility there where we can set up a team that can do the production work.
Excellent. Very happy to hear that. Please think a little bit more about South also. Last point, because 50% of startups are happening out of Bangalore. I'm sorry, it's just how it is. Yeah. Although I'm not a native Bangalorean, it's just a fact. So just think about it. Maybe a couple of people sitting here work, but good, Vishal. Nice talking to you. Next question, please. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dr. Vishal. The next question is, do you see the entrepreneurship or innovative entrepreneurship courses or the dedicated colleges in near future as like IT and a management was a boom after we had a dedicated colleges for that? Or do you think that encouraging this ecosystem is enough to promote entrepreneurship?
I am so sorry, Dr. Sandeep. I was not able to understand the question. Could you kindly repeat?
Okay. So the question is, IT and management was a boom when we had the dedicated colleges or institutes of information technology and management. Do you think that in near future we will have dedicated courses or colleges for entrepreneurship development?
Yes.
Or just encouraging entrepreneurship is enough?
Great question. By the way, whoever asked that question, you should understand, and Dr. Amjad would be able to tell you also, there are wonderful accelerator incubators in our country already. I just use CCAMP because we sit in CCAMP, and then there is BBC, there is IKP, ICICI, Knowledge Park. I think there are 12 incubators already in this country that are fully well set, and I think there is also going that way with IICE, and I really welcome that, which is why you're having CurveBall 2020. So dedicated accelerators are already happening in our country. There are a dozen that I know of, including NCL Pune. So you're in very good shape compared to 5 years ago. You don't need coursework for entrepreneurship. It's one of those things you just have to do it, right? You can get some gyan here and there, and we have to go. And if you open my back shirt, it's filled with hurt because I've been smashed so badly in my back. I've made so many mistakes. So there is no other way, to go through it, but you have to go through it. But that energy, to want to do something, and the passion that I told you, that mad evangelical spirit, nobody can teach us. That has to come from within.
Okay. We'll take the last question, and this is very relevant. The problem that we also feel, entrepreneurship, as you told that it does not need education or the degrees or per se. It's some psychology, personality. So how do we reach out to the people in the rural areas who have rural or the societal startups or ideas, and somehow get them on board where they are not able to write proposals or the grant proposals? how their ideas can be translated into companies and venture.
Beautiful. And that's a very thought-provoking question. Multiple layers. Established accelerators, incubators like CCamp, IKP, BBC, NCL now have to step up, Dr. Sandeep, starting now. And they have to become nodal. That means if you look at Karnataka, Bangalore, CCamp is in Bangalore. Bangalore doesn't need CCamp today.
Yeah,
But all the rural areas in Karnataka, brilliant minds are there in our rural areas. It's not that all the brilliant people are only sitting in cities. Brilliant minds are there in the rural areas. So each of these accelerated incubators have to step up, and starting 2021, hopefully post-COVID, have rural development, tier 2 city engagement. I think let's start tier 2. Then only tier 3 can have it. Tier 2, like one step at a time, peel the onion layer by layer. And to say one vertical of every incubator accelerator has to be development of tier 2 ideas. Can you imagine in CCamp, if they say 20% of the seats in CCamp are left for tier 2 city Karnataka ideas? At least it's a chance for the students to come, learn from CCamp, go back, because it's not going to happen overnight. So we have not done a great job as a nation. But again, we are just crawling. We're coming out of crawl. Now we're starting to walk. So we will take tier 2 along. It's a big issue. For example, you guys sitting in Bhopal, there's so much you can do in your surrounding areas, the tier 2s past you. And every year you have competition and you pick up 1 or 2 great ideas that come in, biofuels or clean air or agro or whatever it is. Bring them into your innovation and incubation ecosystem at IISER. That's the only way to do it. That's the only way to do it. Now, in terms of solving, okay, that is one half of the answer, Sandeep. Second half of the answer is, a lot of good work is going on in solving rural problems, rural healthcare issues, rural education issues, rural food safety issues. That I see plenty of companies, DBTs funding. That's good. But on this side, we have not done a good job. Maybe you guys should lead by example. Pick up one tier 2 city in 100 miles, 200 miles from Bhopal, and maybe you have a winner. So yeah.
Thank you, sir. Actually, the Q&A session is quite interesting, but unfortunately, we ran out of time. So let me ask the student innovation leaders of Innovation Club to paste the CurveBall registration link in the chat boxes. Can we have it?
And by the way, I must tell everyone that the name CurveBall is simply brilliant. For those of you who follow baseball in the US, a curveball has got a very, very complex parabole when the pitcher pitches it. It's not a straight ball, it's actually a very curved ball. A little bit like the outswinger, if you want to make a cricket analogy, and it's very hard. And it's really, really hard, right? It's straight ball, straight ball, straight ball, and then suddenly a curveball comes and the batsman gets out. In life sciences, almost every day there'll be curveballs. So you better start getting used to CurveBall from CurveBall-2020. Have a great CurveBall-2020.
Yes, and here we go. The registration link for this entrepreneurial competition is in your chat boxes, and the same will be shared in an elaborated competition email. So here we announce in presence of our guest of honor today and CEO IICE-IISER Bhopal that the CurveBall competition is officially open for registration and participation.
Very nice, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. So let me take this opportunity to thank our keynote speaker, Dr. Anand Anadkumar, for his valuable time and insightful thoughts. And sir, we would need, our institute and our country will need the suggestion and guidance from you and your experiences. So we will be in touch.
Absolutely.
I also thank Dr. Amjad Hussain, who actually arranged today's talk. Many thanks to you, sir. I thank IISER Bhopal for all the support. Special thanks to Arun and a team of innovation leaders who looked after all technical things to arrange this event. And I thank all the participants, the researchers, teachers, students who have given a valuable time and participated in our today's talk. So I request you to stay tuned with the IISER Bhopal social media pages for the new announcement. Until then, take care and goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Did it? Was it good?